You know, deaf people use sign language in their sleep.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, not widely known. And platypuses sweat milk.
Sweat milk. Oh my god, what is that? That's terrible.
What is milk?
I know what milk is. I'm just
Oh, okay,
saying, like
okay.
actual milk, like from a cow.
I guess it would be platypus milk.
Oh god. Are you done? Can we start this video?
Never been more ready.
Okay, so today's video we're going to be reviewing a game called Pioneers of Pagonia. Cass, what is this game about?
The city builder pioneers of Pagonia is all about exploration, discovery, and reuniting the fantastical islands of Pagonia. Build over 40 different buildings, use more than 70 different types of goods, widely manage branched production chains, and get creative in establishing your economy.
Thanks again, Cass, for that word-for-word description of the game. This is a co-op city builder game that you can enjoy with friends. So, at the end of this video, how are we going to grade this, Cass?
There will be a 10-to-1 dingleberry scale for 3 categories of the game. 10 is the worst, 1 dingleberry is the very best you can get.
Here are the 3 categories that'll be rated: economy, combat, game mechanics, and then we'll have our final score for the game at the very end. Disclaimer, we are just giving our opinions on the game. Your opinion of a game we reviewed may vary. We are not liable if you take our opinions as fact. Do your own research and buy responsibly.
Now that we got that out of the way, how about we head over into the settings with 710?
Yeah. Thank you, Cass. We're going to start it off by hitting start new game. Okay, anyways. Within the use templates option, you can select difficulty, terrain templates, and at the bottom you can select your lighting atmosphere. Once we've selected our atmosphere and our terrain, we want to go to the customize map setup. Here you can select your own map conditions. You can choose the difficulty of your landing party's resources, enemies, and NPC villages that you trade with. The landscape settings gives you more options to edit the terrain and its resources. For example, you can set how many supplies you start with in your landing party, or how many resources are mineable on the map. The last setting allows you to change the size of your map for your landscape that you've selected. Before you generate a map, you can also enable the guidance option in your settings down at the bottom. Once you're done, select generate map and start the game. We did the tutorial stuff. There's not really any tutorial options, not that I've seen in the game. Like, as far as, you know how most games, when they give tutorial tips, it says it off to the side or whatever. It'd be like, this is how you create so-and-so, and this is how you use your inventory. It didn't actually do that with this game.
Right. I'm guessing maybe they add quests, but it really wasn't much more they could have really done that they did do.
Right. Yeah, like, I
But
don't...
a lot more could be added for a tutorial because there's a lot of stuff on the
Oh,
screen.
yeah. There's so many stats in the game that you don't even know what you're looking at. You kind of have to just guess. And that's kind of what we did through our playthrough, is just guess what everything was.
Yeah, and a lot of the developers are, I mean, a lot of people are foreign, but they're European, and the
Right.
descriptions aren't in
Yeah.
English.
Oh god, the
I mean, they're in
descriptions.
English, but they're like translated, I guess.
Right. The descriptions were terrible. Like, actually terrible. I think there was, remember that occupied by workers, but it's not
Yeah,
occupied or something?
yeah.
Some
Houses
weird,
occupied
like...
by workers. But
So is it occupied by workers, but it's also vacant? I'm confused. Like, so there's not a whole lot going on with tutorials in this game, which kind of sucks because with the amount of stats that are in the game, you kind of need something that kind of guides you and tell you like what everything is. Unless that was on purpose and they were going for like a, like a Dark Souls, like no tutorials, you just kind of got to figure it out on your own, which I don't know.
and it is early access, so
Right. I wonder, when did this game release? Do you know?
I don't.
Oh, let me look it up real quick. 'Cause...
I mean, it hasn't released yet, technically.
Well, yeah. I mean, well,
But
when did it?
it was 2023 December.
December 2023. Okay. I mean, it's been about a year. You would think they would have at least something in there to help new players go through the game and stuff, especially people who've never played city builders.
Next thing is map generation
Oh yeah.
when you first arrive.
Oh right. Are you talking about like when you start the game and you actually generate the map?
Yeah, it generates and you start off from the boat, and that's all the area you
Oh
see
yeah.
there.
Yeah, you see a bunch of white fog or like a fog of war. You have to expand. You have to send your dudes out to go and clear some of that fog of war so you can see a better like area or surrounding area.
Yeah,
Um,
your border.
right. Yeah, your border.
Most units you can't send out past the border. Only specific units can go out past the border.
So, what units are those?
Uh, higher military,
Oh,
but
okay, gotcha.
miners can't mine anything outside the border.
Yeah, they don't even go outside the border, do they? Like
No,
at all?
no.
Gotcha. So they stay within your city borders. And as far as like the landscape goes, how did you feel about the generation for like the maps that we played? Because we did two maps originally. Like do you think it was pretty balanced?
A lot of the area, it was pretty balanced, but the areas you can build on is kind of funky according to the
Yeah.
roads.
Yeah. Like you can't build on the beach, which kind of like where we started, obviously we started on a ship, so we started on like a little peninsula that was all beach, and you can't build on that, which is kind of crappy. And then like the more you expand inwards, I mean we'll talk about that, but yeah, there's only certain terrain that you can build on. I'm pretty sure it's just grassland.
Yeah, and then we have to show on the screen of how where you can see the buildable area next to the road, little
Oh right.
squares in between the
Oh
road.
yeah, those I feel like those things didn't really
Yeah, they
tell
didn't
me a
really
whole
match
lot.
up to the buildings.
Right.
I think that could be worked on a little bit.
Yeah, and also, I mean, we'll go a little further into this, but I just want to just quickly say that being able to squish the buildings closer together. Anyways, yeah, we'll touch on that later. But
Yeah, you're having to expand before you really want to because you run out of area.
right, right, and then how's like the resource generation as far as like our maps go? Because I think our first starting area we didn't really have a whole lot of like trees, like a bunch of plots of trees where we can cut down. You know what I mean? In early game.
No, but it worked out.
Oh yeah,
Starting out, it works out.
starting out for sure because you're not you're not expecting to chop down that whole little
Yeah,
patch or batch of trees. I mean, it's fine, but as far as like expanding later, having that
yeah.
small amount of trees is
It
not great. I remember when we were playing, and we can show like a clip of it, but I had like maybe like five different places where they were constantly like growing and refarming the trees because there wasn't an area that I can place just one forester and then have that constantly like cutting down trees or whatever.
Well, and another thing, you
Yeah.
know, most of the time you probably not gonna have everything you need in that area when you start.
Oh
So the
no.
ores are not gonna be there probably. Stone might
Did
not
we
be
have
there.
ores? Did we have ores when we started?
No,
Like in our territory?
no,
We didn't. Okay,
no.
gotcha.
I don't even think we had stone.
Oh
So
jeez.
we had to
I
use
don't.
what was on the ship to expand before we needed
Oh
to.
yeah, that's right. Because one of the settings we did was the extended with co-op, so it gives you a little bit more extra resources.
Yeah,
Also, I do want to mention that the starting ship came with a bunch of like it was like 500 population, so you start with 500 population
yeah.
and you have a certain set amount of carriers and then you have or like people that transport goods
Well,
and then you
everybody's a
have
carrier until they have a job.
right, but you also have some villagers that already are assigned certain jobs. They're
Yeah,
just in the ship
right.
until you start building like housing and stuff for them to live in. So technically, you can think of like the starting ship as like a big hotel for everybody.
And I don't even think there's a negative effect of them being on the ship,
Right. Right.
rather other than housing.
True. True.
But not yet, at least.
Right. And what about like fishing? I mean, I did place a few fishing huts initially, like on the start of the game, and it wasn't a whole lot going on. Like I didn't really understand when I first placed it down. I thought they would fish directly from the ocean, but that is not the case. When you're placing that fishing hut down, and we can pop something on the screen, you have to uh, like look at your area, and there will be little highlighted like fish swimming in the ocean if there is any in the ocean. And most, I think during our playthrough, I only placed like two fishing huts on the ocean, and
Yeah, I
then
think it was too.
the rest of them were like on a lake. Lakes were kind of the spot to get fish.
Right.
And
Hunting
then
the
yeah,
animals on the island. Starting out, we had none. Not even in the
really?
forest, on the in the
No,
trees. Yeah, the trees we had none.
that was on our first playthrough, right?
Yeah, I
Gotcha.
believe the
Because
second one too.
second one
We
as
had to
well.
expand a little
We
bit
had
to
to
get to.
expand. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And the same goes for the hunters. Like they're not going to go outside the border to get the.
Nope.
So yeah, hunting you have to initially just expand, which sucks. Because what if you want like that? I mean, that all goes down to like when you're growing your city, you have to have certain like food resources and meat or rabbit meat and boar meat and all the other kind of meat that you can get in the game. You can't get it until you actually expand your borders. So it's like how do you grow your city without these resources? And a good like segue into it is instead of hunting or fishing, you can actually do crop farms, and we didn't do that for a while. I think
I think actually we did foraging, or we did a lot
oh
of other stuff.
right, I completely
Yeah,
forgot about
yeah.
foraging.
I forgot about the crops that just grow in the wild, like
Right, and
berries
we
and
definitely had that. There was, like, raspberries and porcini, right?
porcini. I think there's mushrooms and
Yeah.
flax.
Flax? Well,
Yeah,
but flax wasn't,
I mean it's not
a food.
food, but it is foraging.
Yeah, I remember we did do flax and then foraging, like, berries and stuff, and berries are used to create, meals. So we kind of touched on like how to grow. I mean, like not how to grow, but like we talked about growing your city and stuff. You did most of this. I kind of was like doing this stuff early game a little bit just to kind of understand. But on our first playthrough, we placed two guard towers initially, thinking that the guard tower is what would expand our territory, but actually the guards themselves are the ones that expand it with the resource called border stone.
Right.
And we placed two of them thinking, okay, well, this is going to expand our border. And
And I was
remember,
also thinking that they would actually house people to protect our border.
remember initially when we clicked on the actual tower, it shows a bunch of rings and stuff, and we thought that like the very last ring was what expanded our, or like how far they would expand. But that is
Yeah.
not the case at all. Like when you zoom out of your mini map, there's actually like a white ring that's like really far out from your actual base. And
Yeah.
that's what, that's the limit of how much they can explore. And we didn't realize that until like after we placed the two towers down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually pretty bad because we didn't know how to stop the expansion. They were expanding into like enemy camps and stuff.
The first time we played, we pretty much just built guard towers down
Yeah.
in wood. We weren't
Right.
making anything.
No.
But we needed border stones to expand with the guards,
Right.
and you could turn it on and off with the guard tower. But we just had it on, and they was just constantly expanding
Yep.
using
We
border
were like
stone.
freaking out. We were like, what is going on?
But they keep going, and if you don't turn it off, they'll run into enemies.
How do you turn it off? So the viewers, we can show up a display.
Yeah, to show it on it's middle of the screen of the select settings of the building. It's towards the middle. It's a
Wait,
little
so you
green
select the
arrow.
settings of the building? How do you select the settings of the building?
You click on the building.
Okay, right. So you click on the building, and then there should
I'll
be
show it
some
on the
settings,
screen, but yeah, it'll be
right?
the settings, and then on the right side towards the middle, you can see the on and off button.
Right. It's literally like an on and off switch. So you have like a little green, green is for on, and then red for off. Obviously, that actually there's two of those buttons. That
Yeah,
there's one for turning the building off, so you can get that confused. If you hover over it, I think it tells you what it does, so you don't accidentally turn your building off.
right. And then they move. They have to get out of there if you turn the building off.
Right.
They
Right.
they'll just be homeless.
Oh, the guards are not gonna be like technically stationed there.
No, the population in the building will go to 0, and they have to go somewhere else.
Oh, I see. So they relocate to another building or another tower.
Yeah, if it's available space somewhere else.
And if there isn't, then what?
They'll just be wandering around because they're
Um,
still guards, technically. I don't think they can
right,
change profession afterwards.
right. The second thing to like expand your city would be comfort meals or I think it's called comfort food and nutritional food, which create comfort meals is what they call it, or nutritional meals, and that's where like your villagers go to get food, and then there's like a rating in the top left of your screen that tells you how much you're producing and what quality of that food you're producing. And to create, I think it took us a bit to figure out how to actually create like these meals or whatever.
Not only
But
that, we
yeah.
didn't know how to distribute them
Oh, right.
with the
Well,
taverns and the market stalls and everything.
right, right. Yeah, so you want to build a tavern early in the game because that is what distributes the food. It's just like a big mess hall for the food or whatever. And then you need market stalls so that the carriers will deliver the food to the market, and then the tavern will go to the market to pick up the food. And that's kind of how that goes. You can't What we thought initially was we just store all of our food in one big storage building, and then they're just going to go in there and grab the food as they need it, but that's not how that works. The only job type that will take stuff out of storage is carriers. So
Yeah,
yeah.
they
But
order it and they just carry it.
right, but as far as like creating, can we talk about how the food is created, or like what determines something, like how it's created or anything like that, or we can touch on that later in the economy section.
Yeah, we can touch on that later because
Okay.
there's a lot of recipes.
Yeah, that's true. And then, so when you create comfort meals, like I was saying, there's like a stat that tells you the quality of it and everything. I believe like there's like tiers of it. I think you mentioned it like not in this sitting, but when we were actually playing, you were saying like after 750 population, you need to have like comfort meal level of 5 or quality meal level of 5.
Yeah,
We can post it on the screen, and there'll be a tiers of, I think it's like 500 population is 5 meals, or 5 comfort meals or something like that. I don't remember it
level.
exactly,
I think it's like a level or something of the comfort meal.
right? Because I do remember you saying like population,
Yeah, it's like
like
higher tier recipes, and the higher the tier recipe, the higher the comfort level.
right, exactly. And then that also determines like the newborn rate or whatever. So
Yeah,
your villagers can have newborns, but that's all based off of like the food quality and the variety of food. And that will also grow your population, and then in turn grows your production rate and everything like that. And that kind of just like domino effects as you're increasing in population.
yeah. Want to talk
Um,
about the resources then? Non-replenishable.
okay, so non-replenishable resources, as in like
Whatever we find, like hunting, we found out that a lot of these areas don't have many animals, and
right,
it's like 4 rabbits hopping around. You hunt those 4 rabbits, maybe one comes back, and then you hunt that one rabbit, and they're all gone.
right. Like you can't.
And
It's not like
yeah,
you have like a animal husbandry or like a shack that like breeds animals or whatever, which is
right,
surprising. There was nothing like that. There was like, I would think the hunting lodge, and then there would be like a animal shed or something.
yeah,
Like
something
sometimes,
where it wouldn't run out because that's pretty much what you need to survive in the game.
right, right. And not only that, but like the meat resource all comes back to the comfort meals and like having like higher quality food because I think now I think about it, tier one food or tier one nutritious meals and comfort meals are just like foraged items, things that can
Right.
be picked up off the ground. So like raspberries and porcinis is like a tier one food, and then to get to tier two, you need to have meat, and
Right.
that's something that we needed early on, but we couldn't get it until we started expanding like further to the right of the screen.
Yeah, even
Or
then, we only found like one patch of animal
right,
that was
yeah,
big enough.
yeah. I still don't really know what determines their respawn rate, or because remember we had an area to the right side that was consistently having animals. I don't know if
Yeah,
that
that was
was
the only
because
one that was keeping up with it.
yeah, our theory on it was that they they were only respawning because there was a tree, like a tree line. When we first expanded to the right, there was like those rabbits that you were saying, like
Yeah.
where we first had our little mining village, and those rabbits, as soon as we killed them off, then there was none respawning.
What else is not replenishable is stone and coal
Oh
and
god,
pretty much all the ores.
all the surface ores basically. None of those are replenishable unless you find them underground.
Yeah, in early game, if you're not expanding, you're not gonna be able to keep up
Yeah,
with the enemies coming in.
right. And I think our like bottleneck was coal for sure.
Yeah, and that was minimal.
Right. Like once you start getting into the part where you're doing refining and everything, you start needing a bunch of coal. You needed actually coal for everything. So you needed coal and then a certain ore to create certain tools for your jobs, so that you can staff your production buildings. And if you didn't have those tools, then you was just kind of stuck in a limbo state of just not having any sort of production going.
Yeah, what I think they should do with that is like change the coal to where it's not using one per ore instead
Yeah.
of using like a fuel for the building to where it uses one
Right,
coal
right. It's
per
so
like
weird.
every certain amount of
Yeah,
time.
for every tool that you needed to create, it's like one coal, one iron, or one coal, one copper, or bronze, or whatever it was.
Right.
It was like weird as hell. Like I don't know. I don't like that at all.
It was
Um,
treating it more like an ore and not a fuel.
r- right, right. You would think the coal would be like you said to keep that building like running, or kind of like I don't know, like other games
Keep the
where
flame. Yeah.
you use like wood or coal to run the furnaces or whatever. Yep. And that kind of leads into like tools that you need in the game. So there's a lot of tools. I think there's like 12 different tools or something like that. So just to name off a few, the pickaxe for your miners, axe for the woodcutters, fishing rod for the fishermen, and the bow for the hunters, the sickle for the farmers, and is there anything else I missed?
Pliers and
Oh,
hammers.
yeah, yeah. Pliers and hammers, I think, is for the toolsmiths. Was it toolsmith that building? Toolsmith.
I believe so, yeah. The
Yeah.
hammers.
So you have a toolsmith where you can build all your tools and everything. There's like specific buildings for everything, like armor smith, weaponsmith, and you need pliers for those so that those guys can have. Those are like the technical jobs, I guess, and you always have to have like a surplus of tools
And you
because
also need coal for tools.
and you need
Oh,
coal
just
for
funny.
tools as well. So it's like you're kind of stuck in that state of constantly growing your city where you have to grow your city to like progress in the game, or else your city's production rate is gonna stagnate, or it's gonna go stagnant, and then you're like you said earlier, you're gonna get attacked by a bunch of freaking enemies, and you're not gonna be able to build anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the last one, this one doesn't require any like any coal to actually create, but it's the carriers. And carriers are basically like the guys that transport all your resources.
Yeah. You're gonna start out with a lot of carriers automatically.
I think like half of them when you start out is carriers.
Yeah, but
So
the to get more, you're gonna need leather from hunting, which we
right,
obviously had a trouble with.
right.
And you can't
and
get that from rabbits.
yeah, and backpacks, right?
Yeah, leather for the backpacks.
Right. Yeah, so backpacks create carriers. I forgot to mention also like traders. There's traders. There's a lot of jobs, but just kind of the ones that we constantly needed to like replenish traders and all those other ones that we mentioned. Carriers were very confusing to understand.
They were a problem.
I remember at one point we were actually losing our population, and we didn't know why. Is because we didn't have enough carriers to transport the goods to the production facilities, and so you kind of just get stuck where all of your production buildings have all these demands for resources, but you only have like 20 people transporting those goods. And the only way to increase your carrier count is to increase your population count. And to do that, you need tools which require coal. But to get the coal to the places in production that require that make those tools, you need carriers. So it kind of all loops back around, and you get
Yeah.
stuck in this like you just can't do anything. I think we had that a few times when we were playing. We thought we were gonna lose the game because we couldn't get any production going.
Yeah, and the issue only gets worse because of the roads, and you can't.
Oh god,
There are
yeah.
no upgrades, so
There's no yeah.
you can
There's no
only
road
carry one
upgrades.
item per carrier.
Yeah, I would definitely like. I wish there was a upgrade system in the game that allows you to upgrade the carrier capacity or the amount of resources gained from like mining resources or whatever, like whatever the job is. I wish there was a way you can upgrade that building in like particular so that they can hold more capacity, so that they can output faster and stuff like that. There was none of that.
None of that. That's pretty much it for growing.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on the maintaining and growing your carrier population. That just all comes from increasing your city population, which creates carriers or like newborns, right? So newborns increase your population, and then in turn gives you more carriers. So
Yeah, they grab a backpack and start carrying.
and that's pretty much what we have for like growing your city. Just kind of the basics and fundamentals. The next thing we're going to be talking about is military, and this is kind of more so leaning towards Cass because I didn't really do a whole lot of the military, but things that I've seen while I was playing, I can jump in and add stuff to it.
Yeah, the military. You start out with guards. That is your main military where you start, and they aren't worth anything.
No, they're not.
Uh,
I think we spent a lot of resources just creating guards.
yeah, they can't handle anything.
Right. Well, yeah, they're the
they
basic unit.
But they expand the border, so you gotta have them.
Right.
But to start, you do have to just build guards because you can't build anything else yet, anyways.
Hmm.
Then comes the fighting
Oh god, the fighting
with
in
the
this game was
guards.
actually bad. Like I've never seen this before in a like PvE game where you can only fight
Yeah,
one.
so I sent out a group of guards because I think it was thieves coming in,
Yeah. Or
and I
yeah, well, our first map was actually wolves, but yeah.
werewolves.
Yeah.
But they go up to them, and I'm thinking, all right, I got 4 guards. I can handle this pretty easily.
Yeah.
Each guard goes up one at a time.
Yeah, like they're queued up in a line to get some food.
Yeah, it's a line of guards just waiting to get destroyed.
Oh my gosh, it's so bad. Like the combat, like if you have to go fight like let's say 5 people and you have 20, you're basically doing a 5v5. Like there's
Yeah,
no 20 versus 5. That's not how the game works. uh like and you'll see it on the screen. We'll put it up and you'll see that it's just 5 1v1s basically.
yeah, but you can see their attack power or combat power, and I don't even think that matters. I don't know how they really. I guess it's RNG who wins
Yeah, you
the
talking
one v
about
one.
oh, right. When they're actually doing the 1v1?
Yeah, because
See,
you could have like a werewolf has like 5 combat power,
yeah.
and a guard has like 2 combat power or one.
Mhm.
A guard can still win first try, just out of nowhere,
Mhm.
and then a werewolf just comes up and kills everything. One of them.
Right. Kills all 20 guards.
Yeah, one guard may kill one, but
I thought it was when I seen some of the fights, I thought it was like from what I understood is it depends on how many hits, right? So like let's say a wolf takes 3 hits to die, but like the guard for whatever reason the guard doesn't hit first when he like let's say a guard dies and then the next guard comes up, you would expect that guard that comes up after him to hit the wolf, but
right.
instead he blocks. It's weird. It's very weird.
Yeah, I don't
And
know
then
how
he
they.
dies because he dies in one hit or whatever, or he gets bit by the guard. I mean, by the werewolf. Oh man, it's so
Yeah, I don't
bad.
know how it is calculated, but
There's like,
that
yeah,
that does need to change. Combat.
yeah, yeah, true. And were there any like indicators of how much health your guards had, or like fighting power, or whatever you were saying earlier?
No, all you can see is the combat power.
Gotcha.
And the guards or not. I don't think the guards have a increase in combat ability to any specific enemy,
Uh huh.
but the other military units do.
Right.
No,
So yeah, guards are basically just the tier 1 trash unit
yeah,
that nobody likes, but they're very useful because they expand your border,
and you can churn out a lot of them because they only cost wood.
right? Because they just need spears. They don't need shields or anything like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So
now the
very
movement with the
yeah.
guard.
Oh god.
So you can't highlight your units.
Hmm.
You have to have them in a guard tower or garrison or some type of military building
Hmm.
and have them patrol or attack a certain area.
Right.
And you can't really do micromanaging with the movement.
Hmm.
You can only send them to a spot or send them back.
Right. There were the military camps that we created initially that can house like 25 units or whatever, which we didn't use it until like later.
I don't, yeah, because I don't think the garrisons really what were used later.
Right.
The
Because you can
camp, I don't think
specify.
you can't send units anywhere in a camp.
Right.
They're
They the camp is basically like a place for overflow units, and it
yeah,
could be a mix hodgepodge of units. You can't specify like I want 25 guards in this military camp and 25 guards in this other military camp. It's basically whatever units you created. If there's an overflow and there's no like towers that they can go to, they're gonna go into this military camp.
right.
And so like garrisons is what we used, like you were saying, and that is where you can assign, and you can kind of go more into depth how you were able to move different units around between garrisons and everything like that.
All right, and it's just an upgraded guard tower, pretty much.
Yeah. How many can they hold?
I believe garrison can hold 25 units,
Okay, gotcha.
and guard towers can only hold 10.
And at what point did we start creating different unit types? Because I mean, I didn't really do much of this. This is
Yeah,
mostly you.
the first unit I created was the swordsmen or soldiers.
Soldiers.
Yeah, they were iron,
Yeah,
and which was pretty much the easiest ore to get at the moment.
right. The most abundant at the time.
Yeah, they were a slight upgrade to guards,
Do you
but
remember the stat on those?
I believe they were like 4 combat power or 5.
Okay, gotcha. And we can throw it on screen as well what they actually are. Like
Yeah,
the comparisons between all the units, we can do that as well.
yeah, but you have soldiers that
Initially,
that type, and then the adventurers are the rangers, the dreadnoughts, and I forgot the last one.
uh
There's 3 of them.
that we mainly focused on creating. There are also elite units that we could have created, right?
Yeah, they're upgraded versions of like rangers, fear not.
At least in that aspect you can upgrade your units in a sense,
Yeah,
but
the only problem is some of the upgrades you couldn't get the materials for. Because the upgraded fear not and the upgraded ranger, you need rubies and emerald, and
and
the only way to get that was from trading,
oh yeah, dude, the trading
and
in
that
this
was
game.
and that was
Yeah,
limited.
Yeah, very very limited. It's gonna be in the economy section of the podcast, but yeah, the trading in this game was kind of lackluster to say the least. So to make the elite units, you needed gems.
For Rangers and Fear Nots, you needed gems, but the other unit that I forgot the name of,
Hmm.
I'll put it on the screen. But you just needed the upgraded ores, like silver, I believe. But each unit has a specialty of what enemy is weak against and what is strong against.
Right, so you can't just mass one unit type.
Like 5 different types of units or enemies.
Okay.
You got the specters, which are
Mhm.
like ghostly type enemies, and they scare your people and they drop their tools,
Right.
and then you lose that tool forever. You can't get it back. You have the
But
werewolves, which
they do turn into carriers though, which is nice.
yeah. And you have werewolves, which bite whoever they come across, and they turn into werewolves, which we found that out later.
Yeah.
You have thieves, which come into your base and steal stuff in disguise, or they just walk in out of disguise and they actually kill people.
Do they? I don't think they
The
kill
the
people.
ones the ones that are not in disguise
Oh,
kill
yeah,
people.
the ones that the bandits or whatever they're
Yeah,
called.
the bandits.
Yeah, that's true. But the good thing about the thieves, like the ones that don't kill, your resources actually just are taken to the camp, right? And we can
Right.
discuss camps and like what each of those camps do or whatever, um, and how to conquer them. You know.
They take it to the resources to the camp and they just sit it on the ground, just out in the open. They don't care.
Right.
But
Hey, at least you know like where your resources are. You remember when we found that one camp and they had a bunch of our hunting bows just
yeah, it
stacked.
was just stacked up again on the ground. They just steal stuff just to steal it.
Right. Right. Yeah, there's no stopping it. Like you can have units in your base. I don't think that's worth it cuz you can reclaim.
Well, there is one unit. There's one specific unit that you can use to stop thieves in disguise,
Okay.
and it's Fear
What?
Nots.
Gotcha.
That's the
That's
only
the
unit.
upgraded unit?
No, the all of them, all the
Oh.
those that tier can.
Oh, any tier of fear not is what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah. They
Oh, okay,
can.
gotcha.
They spot the disguised thieves,
And do they kill
but
them or do they just
yeah,
scare
they
them
kill
off?
them. No, they
Okay.
kill them. They drop their stuff they stole, or if they stole it yet, and
Yeah.
they kill them or try to kill them. They might die,
Right.
but
Does that thief fight back or does he just
yeah,
get killed?
it does.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That's cool. You can yeah, you can just reclaim your stuff before it gets taken. Like if you're
Yeah,
low on resources and they're just taking all your wood or something like that. You can just have
right.
a bunch of fear knots just sitting in your base or sending them around the map. I know we did that a couple times. Like when we saw a big pile of thieves running into our base, you'd send all the fear knots and stuff over to
Right.
that specific area.
Right.
Yeah, that
And
was
all of the adventure type units, military units,
uh-huh.
like the Ranger, Fear Not, and the one I forgot the name of,
Yeah.
they can all go outside the border. The
Okay.
regular military units, like guards and soldiers, can't go outside the border.
Right, I see. So the fear knots can they expand the fog of war?
No,
Gotcha.
they can go outside the border, but they can't see anything in the
So you
fog.
can send them in the fog and that won't uncover anything?
Yeah.
I gotcha. Okay. Nice.
And the last enemy, which are the scavs, probably the biggest enemy faction
Yeah.
because they set up bulwarks which create their own border,
Yep. That was
which you
annoying.
have to destroy to be able to expand your border into that.
So you're basically if you don't destroy these bulwarks thinking you can just like expand around them. Nope, because they expand themselves, right? The
Right.
longer that they're sitting there.
Right. Expand to the max. I guess they have a range of how far they can expand.
Right. And they can also expand over top of resources. So like vital resources that we had, we couldn't get to because they were expanded around it.
And they also mine those resources,
I didn't know that.
which decrease the amount. that's there.
Is that
And
resource like put inside the bulwark?
I'm not sure, but there is always the resources in the bulwarks when we destroy them.
Right.
They drop on the ground.
What determines it being destroyed? Like, do you have to just kill all enemies, or do you have to like claim
So
the borders?
yeah, whenever you go to the bulwark, you'll see a bunch of enemies around it. You kill them, and then you'll they have miners just all around pertaining to that one bulwark. They'll
Hmm.
start walking back, and you got to kill all of them before you claim that bulwark land, and that could take a while.
Right. Does the bulwarks or the enemy camps like is do those respawn units
Yeah, and they also spawn units while you're standing there waiting for the miners to come back.
or spawn units? Yeah, I see. Gotcha. And bulwark is the only like type of camp, enemy camp.
You have the thieves with the thief camps. You got the bulwarks with the scavs.
Yeah.
You have the moon glen for the werewolves,
Hmm.
which is where they take your bitten villagers,
Hmm.
and they spawn there.
Right. Yeah, I remember
And
like towards the end of the game, like throughout the game you lose uh villagers or whatever military to the werewolves, but you think that that's it, but no, when you get towards the end of the game and you get to fight like the last few moon glens or whatever they're called,
yeah,
you have just like a big like horde of werewolves, and those are all your fallen soldiers.
yeah. And then the specters is like a tree. You have to they
Hmm.
are they like spawn around, but all you have to
Yeah.
do is kill every unit around that, and then that specific
Did every
camp goes
camp
away.
drop resources, or was it only specific camps?
The thieves drop your resources they took. The bulwark dropped resources. The moon glen and the specters, I don't
Hmm.
think dropped anything.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And did the so scavs? You said scavs were the only ones that had borders.
Yeah.
What is there anything that like military wise that you think could have been improved on, or like something you found unexpected? Like for
Well,
example, like the Rangers. We thought those were gonna be like ranged units, and they weren't. They were guys with torches.
right. They hit people with torches.
Yeah, a ranger hits people with torches.
I was hoping there was range. They need to
Yeah.
put ranged in the game,
Yep.
and hopefully they change the rangers to make be ranged
Right.
or change their name.
I remember when I saw bows as like a resource or like a tool. I thought that was for the rangers, and
Right.
yeah, but it's not. It's actually for the hunting lodge.
The I mean, other than the RNG on the combat, everything else is pretty much what it should be.
Mm.
You got spears. I figured out the name of the last unit. It's Blade Dancer.
Oh, blade dancers, right? And those
Yeah.
required gems, right?
No, those didn't. I can
Those
make all the
required those
tiers on that.
magical torches.
No, that was the Rangers. Upgrade the Ranger.
Oh, okay. What was the upgraded ranger unit?
Elite Rangers, I believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's so weird that an upgraded ranger needs a magical torch.
The Rangers are good against thieves. Fear Knight's are also good against thieves. And the Blade Dancers are good against werewolves.
Right. It's like you have to have this balancing act of like which unit to build.
Yeah, the guards and I was going to say earlier, the guards and the soldiers can't attack specters. They all instantly get scared and drop their weapon.
Turn into a carrier.
Yeah,
Well, at least that's a good thing.
yeah,
If
they
you want to get rid of a bunch of guards, you just send them to a specter camp.
right.
Mhm.
Other than that, another problem I have with the totality of the military is
Mhm.
not being able to select the unit or
Mhm.
quickly find your units in groups or however you want to do it. But you have to go to their building and just recall them or
How did you recall them?
set a patrol point back towards the building or wherever.
So, like in any sort of RTS game, you can just highlight the units and then right click them to go to a certain location. You couldn't do that in this.
No, and then it needs to be a better way to find them, like a
Hmm.
hotkey to put them on or
Select all,
something.
like something like that. Some
Yeah,
option to select every building or every garrison or something like that.
yeah, that's a bigger problem in the game. But
Mhm.
That would be a lot better for military.
Right. So how are you managing the military when you were expanding the borders? Like what were you doing consistently to like keep in line like all your units and how you knew where everything was?
Up top, on the screen, I'll show you on the graphic.
Mhm.
You can see your military, I guess, category or the
Mhm.
number of military you have. I had to select all of them to show all of the military units because it
Mhm.
defaults to just
A
guards.
few. Right.
Yeah. Um, but I just had to count and then remember where every building was that I had units in.
Oh god, that's so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
I'm constantly forgetting where the building is, and
and where what I would say I guess where would be the best place to put your like garrisons and stuff?
yeah, I would put now that we know, I'll put it around the border. We were thinking the guard tower would help guard the
Yeah.
our our base, but you
No.
can't, I guess, house people in there to
And it's a
guard.
waste too. Yeah, we found that it was a kind of a waste because you just have guards like in the city, but they're not really doing anything, and you can use them somewhere else. So
Yeah,
we ended up destroying all of our like military production and kind of just like having it on the edges of our border. Um,
yeah, because there is no use in having it in the middle.
right,
So you're
right. It's not.
constantly destroying buildings
Yeah,
because there's no use for
it's
it.
not like other RTS games where having military in your base somewhere is actually good. You want to have it mainly on the borders so that when you're expanding, your guards are protected by dreadnoughts or rangers or whatever.
Yeah, that's pretty much all my complaints
Yeah, there's
about the military.
right. Yeah, I mean, there's like you said, it's early access. We get it. It's been out
Yeah,
for a year. I don't know how many updates they've been doing. I know there's a new update coming out, and they're gonna
yeah, the
add another enemy.
magic update. I'm hoping they put
Right.
the gems finally where you can get the gems naturally.
Oh yeah, the gems we couldn't get naturally. It was just coming from trades. I think you mentioned
Yeah,
that though.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.